Welcome back. The Christmas break is coming to a close. All the players are returning to their teams as we speak, and the regular season resumes tomorrow evening with 9 games around the Ontario Hockey League. And with that in mind, why don't we take a look at some of the storylines that are taking shape as we head into the second half of the regular season? And I think it all starts with Matthew Patra right now playing with Team Canada at the World Junior Hockey Championships. But will he go back to Boston? Or will he be a member of the Guelph Storm? Right now, he has burned that first year of his entry-level contract as he's already played over 20 games in the National Hockey League. But if he reaches the 40-game mark at the NHL level, that's when he'll move closer to unrestricted free agency. So it's an important time right now for the Boston Bruins management to decide whether or not Patra will go back to juniors, play the Guelph Storm, or return to the National Hockey League. I know for the Guelph Storm, that's a big factor for them as they head towards the OHL trade deadline on January 10th. Will they or will they not have their top line center back in the lineup? So that's one storyline to follow as we enter into the second half of the regular season. The second storyline, Owen Beck with the Peterborough Petes, also a member of Team Canada at the World Juniors, appearing in his second straight World Junior Hockey Championships. But will he or will he not be on the move at the OHL trade deadline? He's the big fish, so to speak, coming up to the OHL trade deadline. The Peterborough Petes right now, they've been struggling going into the Christmas break. They were holding on to that top spot in the East Division for the first couple of months of the regular season, and then just kind of tailed off. The offense kind of sputtering heading into the Christmas break and just not getting those bounces. So Owen Beck, will he or will he not be on the move? One team, though, to watch for in the Owen Beck sweepstakes would probably be the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. So keep an eye on them as we head towards the OHL trade deadline. And for Owen Beck, he's had a pretty solid season. 16 goals, 14 assists, good for 30 points. So a solid player there for the Petes. And they do have limited draft picks right now heading into the trade deadline. So if they can move Owen Beck, that veteran, forward, that'll definitely help them with the trade cupboard going forward, looking into next season as they go into that cycle, as they look towards rebuilding. Playoffs, I'm sure they still want to achieve, but it's all going to come down to how many veterans they move at the OHL trade deadline, starting with Owen Beck. The other storyline from the Eastern Conference is the North Bay Battalion. Will they or will they not move Ty Nelson and Dom DiVincentis? Those are their big pieces right now. From what I'm hearing at the rinks, it sounds like the North Bay Battalion are leaning towards not trading their big pieces. But you have to figure if they can move one or the other, or both in a package, they'd be getting a lot of young talent back and a lot of picks in return. But the Eastern Conference now wide open. North Bay, they're just 7 points, or 3 points rather, back of the Mississauga Steelheads for first place in the Central Division. So the East wide open. And it comes down to what will the North Bay Battalion do with two big pieces? Because if those two go on the market, expect a lot of the top teams in the Western Conference, say Sault Ste. Marie, Saginaw, London, they'd probably be kicking some tires in regards to those two players. So keep an eye on the North Bay Battalion. Also, just the storyline is the Eastern Conference in general. 7 points separates first place and eighth. You've got a tie right now between Ottawa and Mississauga for first in Eastern Conference. Still trying to figure out who's going to be the buyers, who's going to be the sellers. Does Ottawa make a big splash? Mississauga, they're a young team. They seem to be ahead of their curve. Do they add maybe some veteran depth up front to help out some of those young guns? Time will tell, but you kind of expect at this point in the regular season there'd be that one team that breaks away in the standings. We're starting to see that in the Western Conference, but in the East, not so much. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens in that race. And then another storyline from the East, the Sudbury Wolves. Is this or is this not their year? They've got some great talent up front. They were the heavy favorites coming to the regular season. But right now, they're sitting in the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference. So for the Sudbury Wolves, they've already made some big trades. You got Dalibor Dvorsky. He came over from Europe. You also got Marcus Vandenberg, who's picked up from the Niagara Ice Dogs to help out with the goaltending. So what is this team capable of? They've got some great talent up front, like I mentioned, but maybe it's that consistency, also the discipline. They're not the most penalized team, but if you look at the suspensions this year, they've had the most slew foot penalties out of all the teams in the Ontario Hockey League. So discipline is an issue with Sudbury. Can they get that chemistry together? Quentin Musty, David Goyette continue to do so well on that top line with Dalibor Dvorsky. So I think the Sudbury Wolves, they're going to be a big buyer coming into the OHL trade deadline, but what are they going to do? Are they going to add to the back end? Are they going to get the depth? And then you have to bring them all together and get them all working as a solid unit. So the Sudbury Wolves, what are they going to do as we continue to wait on that front? Also, the scoring rates is really fascinating right now. The top three all come from the Kitchener Rangers. Carson Rakoff and Hunter Brustevich tied with 55 points here at the Christmas break. And then you have Matthew Sopp. He's third with 53 points. It's a fascinating race. And what's also interesting is with Matthew Brustevich, if he wins the scoring race, it'll be the first time since the 1988-89 season that a defenseman has won the scoring race in the Ontario Hockey League. The last defenseman to do that, Brian Fogarty with the Niagara Falls Thunder. So it's been quite a while since we've seen a defenseman lead the league in scoring, and Hunter Brustevich has a chance of doing that with the Kitchener Rangers, who have that high-flying offense. So that's going to be a fun storyline to follow. Also, looking at the Western Conference, that Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds Saginaw Spirit rivalry, that one's been fun so far. The Greyhounds right now leading that division, and we'll see if Saginaw can close that gap. The Spirit, they are the Memorial Cup hosts. They want to go in through the front door. But the Sioux Greyhounds, they're just that little brother causing some issues there with the Saginaw Spirit. So that's going to be a fun rivalry to follow. And they do have 2 games coming up within the week. So stay tuned with that matchup. Also, the Owen Sound attacked. Dale DeGray, the general manager of Owen Sound, has already said he has no plans of selling at the OHL trade deadline. But right now, they're 17 points back to Kitchener for first place. What do they do with Colby Barlow? He's been dealing with that back injury. When is he coming back? Still waiting for an official update as to his health status. But if you put Colby Barlow on the trade market, that's just going to throw everything off with the OHL trade deadline. And all of a sudden, I'm sure DeGray's phone will be quite busy on January 10th. Also, the Erie Otters, they're looking to snap their playoff droughts. They're 7 points up on the Sarnia Sting, so they're looking pretty good at the moment. And last storyline, who will be selected first from the OHL, the upcoming NHL entry draft? Sam Dickinson, one of the favorites, 8 goals, 18 assists, good for 26 points on the season. And then Zane Parekh, 12 goals, 30 assists, 42 points on the season. A high-flying defender with the Saginaw Spirit. It's going to be either or, it seems at this point, the 2 defensemen. But it's going to be fun to watch down the stretch. So we're getting ready for the season to resume tomorrow night. The Barrie Colts, they're in action against the Sudbury Wolves. Puck drop is at 7 o'clock. The game tomorrow night will not be on Rogers TV. Instead, you can tune in on the CHL TV app. So let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the second half of the season. What are you excited about most? And your thoughts on the upcoming OHL trade deadline. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.